Hello, people. This is Mac. Some of you may have heard about the story that situation that involved a Mr. Ronald Greene on May 10th, 2019, where, being an unarmed black man, he was killed after being arrested by Louisiana State Police following a high-speed chase outside Monroe, Louisiana. During the arrest, he was stunned, punched, pepper sprayed, and placed in a chokehold. Now today, as of December the 15th, we've gotten some news about this case after a long investigation, both by the U.S. Department of Civil Rights and the I believe the Attorney General of Louisiana. But the Louisiana Attorney General, they were given the go-ahead by the Department of Justice to pursue state charges. Now, 5 Louisiana law enforcement officers have been charged with crimes ranging from negligent homicide to malfeasance in this deadly 2019 arrest of Ronald Greene, a death authorities initially blamed on a car crash. That's what they told Mr. Greene's mother and his family. That was told before long suppressed body camera video was obtained by the Associated Press, showing the white officers beating, stunning, and dragging Mr. Greene as he wailed, screaming, "I am scared." Now these were the first criminal charges of any kind to emerge from Greene's bloody death on a roadside in rural northeast Louisiana. As I stated, it got little attention until an Associated Press investigation exposed a cover-up and prompted scrutiny of top Louisiana State Police figures, and a sweeping U.S. Justice Department reviewed the agency and the legislature inquiry looking at what Governor John Bel Edwards knew and when he knew it. Let's take a look at that video to refresh your memories. Now, as you see, this contains very graphic content that may be disturbing to some viewers.
Mr. Greene was, to some degree, even though he had just finished leading police officers on a lengthy and a high-speed chase, his inclination at that particular point was to acquiesce to what the officers wanted.
Let me see your hands! Put your hands behind your back, bitch! Give me your fucking hand! Put your hands behind your back. Taser, taser, taser. Put your hands behind your back. Behind your back. You're about to get it again if you don't put your fucking hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back. I'm sorry.
What's problematic for me is that Mr. Greene is now left on the ground, on his stomach, handcuffed in a prone position. And officers are trained throughout the United States that once there's a struggle of this nature, the individual's handcuffed, that you need to push him off onto his side or get him in a sitting position so you can allow that breathing to be unimpeded by his own body weight. And that didn't happen for at least, based on my calculation, 9 minutes, where Mr. Greene was left alone. And then when he wasn't left alone, get over onto his side. Another trooper pushed him down using his foot against the lower back and buttocks of Mr. Greene. And I didn't understand that. There was absolutely no reason for that. Under no circumstances should Mr. Greene have been drugged by his ankle shackles. That was malicious, sadistic, completely unnecessary. And the officer that did it's going to have to be held accountable.
Wow, well, that is something else. Be honest with you, that's the first time I've seen this video on this. And like he said, these officers will be held accountable. And I go back to say again, you know, revenge, you know. Somebody has to pay for that. But you could see the way they treated Mr. Greene there. But my understanding, as I researched this, I found out that this has been going on there in Louisiana with the state troopers, and probably with all other police departments or law enforcement agencies, for over a decade or longer, probably longer than a decade, but that's probably as far back as they got some documentation on this. But they've been doing black motorists like this on these country roads like that, beating them, whatever they wanted to. And they treated Mr. Greene just like if he was hogtied or something, dragging him on the ground like some animal, you know. I mean, it was so deplorable. They should pay for this. And as I stated, these were the first criminal charges of any kind to emerge from Greene's bloody death on this dark country roadside. Now, his mother, Mr. Greene's mother, Mona Hardin, she stated, "We're all excited for the indictments, but are they actually going to pay for it?" We've seen this play over and over, time and time again. No one ever pays for this. And we as a people have to stop taking this. I'm telling you, we as black men have to stop taking this. Now, Mona Hardin also, who for more than 3 years, she has kept the pressure on the state and federal investigation and vowed not to bury the cremated remains of her Ronnie until she gets justice. She says, "Happy as we are, we want something to stick." Facing the most serious charges on Thursday from a state grand jury was Master Trooper Corey York, who was seen on the body camera footage dragging Greene by his ankle shackles, putting his foot on his back to force him down and leave the heavyset man face down in the dirt for more than 9 minutes. As a use of expert Andrew Scott was narrating on this particular film here, says though these actions could have dangerously restricted Greene's breathing, and the state police on-force instructor called the troopers' action torture and murder. York was charged with negligent homicide and 10 counts of malfeasance in office. The others, who faced various accounts of malfeasance and obstruction, included a trooper who denied the existence of his body camera footage, another who exaggerated Greene's resistance on the screen, a regional state police commander who detectives said pressured them not to make an arrest in the case, and a Union Parish sheriff deputy heard on the video taunting Greene with the word, "Shit hurts, doesn't it?" These actions are inexcusable and have no place in the professional public safety service. The head of the state police Colonel Lamar Davis, said after the indictments, adding that his agency has in recent years made improvements aimed at rebuilding of trust within the communities we serve. Now, Mr. Davis was promoted to that position as head of that the state troopers agency in October, whereas this took place in earlier that year, I believe in May of 2019, and I believe he became the head of that agency in October of 2019. Now, I'm sure that he's been an agent. As I researched him, he's been with that agency since 1998. He's been a trooper for 30 years. I mean, a law enforcement for 30 years or more. I'm sure that if he's been there with for 25 years or so, 24 years with the Louisiana State Troopers, I'm sure that he must have heard something about what was happening out there. Just as many other black law enforcement, they know what goes on in these agencies and these police departments. But what do they do about it? I mean, they just want to keep their jobs, I guess. They don't want to try to make any changes. When people died during the civil rights movement, for these guys to be able to get jobs as police officers. But anyway, the Union Parish District Attorney John Belton submitted arrest warrants for all 5 of the officers, praising the racially mixed grand jury for hearing the evidence and saying the people had spoken. As I stated, the Department of Justice said they didn't have enough to go for their criminal investigation because they couldn't prove the willfulness of the which is a key component of the civil rights charges that they have been considering. So they gave Belton the go-ahead. Now, that panel since last month, grand juries considered detailed evidence and testimony related to the troopers' use of force and their decision to leave the handcuffed Greene prone for several minutes, as Scott stated, for 9 minutes. He counted before rendering aid. And for the first time in the case, a medical expert deemed Greene's death a homicide. They had said that he had been in a car accident. But there was no car accident. But they all conspired to come up with the reason as to why his injury were like they were, because of a car accident. His death was started in secrecy from the beginning. And when authorities told grieving relatives that the 49-year-old died in a car crash at the end of a high-speed chase near Monroe, an account questioned by both his family and even an emergency room doctor who noted Greene's battered body, still a coroner's report listed Greene's cause of death as a motor vehicle accident. Now, you're going to tell me that we don't have racism in this country? They protect each other? And we have black officers that work for these departments, and they act like they don't know these things happen? I mean, what the use of us having black police anything, or black congressmen, or black anything, black mayors or whatever, if they don't step out front and try to do something for the people, black people I'm talking about, and try to change some of these things. And like I said, the coroner's report listed Greene's cause of death as a motor vehicle accident. State police crash report omitted any mention of troopers using force and 462 days were passed before state police began an internal investigation. I mean, and that's why I say it's up to the relatives. And Mrs. Hardin, she kept pressure on these people to do something. Now, all the while, the body camera video remained so secret, it was withheld from Greene's initial autopsy, and officials from Edwards on down declined repeated requests. Edwards was the governor at the time, to release it, citing ongoing investigations. But then last year, the AP obtained and published the footage, which showed what really happened. Troopers swarming Greene's car, stunning him repeatedly, as you saw, punching him in the head, dragging him by the shackles, and leaving him prone on the ground for more than 9 minutes. At times, Greene could be heard pleading for mercy and wailing, "I'm your brother, I'm scared, I'm scared." Those guys don't look at us, black men, as their brother. They don't look at us as human beings. And these are these rednecks in that part of the country. But they're like that all over. I don't care where they come from. They can be rednecks in Michigan, Illinois, New York. They're all the same. And we have to start coming together, people, and fighting this type of wrong against us. And I don't fight any way we can. What did Malcolm X said? By any means necessary. Oh boy, I tell you, this is terrible. Now the investigators have focused on a meeting in which detectives said that state police commanders pressured them to hold off on arresting a trooper seen on body camera video striking Greene in the head and later boasting, "I beat the ever-living F out of him." That state trooper, Chris Hollingsworth, was widely seen as the most culpable of the half-dozen police officers involved. But he died in a high-speed single-vehicle crash in 2020, just hours after he was informed he would be fired over his role in Greene's arrest. Now, the Associated Press later found that Greene's arrest was among at least a dozen cases over the past decade in which state police troopers or their bosses ignored or concealed evidence of beatings of mostly black men, deflected blame, and impeded efforts to root out misconduct. Dozens of current and former troopers said the beatings were countenanced by a culture of impunity, nepotism, and in some cases, racism. So people, what I'm saying right here, I'm not saying that these type of things don't happen to the white men as well if they're caught out there. If they, it's the thing it is, we never see those videos though, but I'm gonna start looking for them. Because I'm gonna tell you, these police officers, if they can't train them any better than that, then they go out. I mean, it wasn't like this guy had a gun that he was threatening them, but you've seen this on other videos. None of these people are threatening them. It's just they got such a hate, or they're such a psychologically morons that they can't help but going out there beating people and doing bodily harm to them. So people, I want to hear what you think about this. And I think we all should stay vigilant and make sure that these guys go to trial and they get what they deserve. So let me hear your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Appreciate it, and have a great day.